Leading our bulletin now, President Cryil Ramaphosa says in honouring the last apartheid-era President FW de Klerk with a state memorial service is because government recognises his contribution. He's acknowledged that the man's legacy remains contested. De Klerk passed away at his home in Cape Town last month and was buried in a private funeral. ENCA reporter Lindsay Dentlinger has more on that story, and she joins us now from Cape Town. Good afternoon, Lindsay. What have people been saying beyond that memorial service?
Well, as you're saying, a contested legacy of FW de Klerk. Certainly those who attended that service today saying that his role in dismantling apartheid had to be acknowledged, and however one wants to remember the man, his role cannot be diminished, although that does not discount the pain and the hurt and the injustice caused to millions of people under apartheid, and the victims of families who were protesting on the far peripheries of today's service, really what they were trying to express. Unhappy that the state had accorded FW de Klerk this kind of significance, although he is entitled to a service of this nature as not only a former head of state, but a deputy president in a democratic era, which President Cryil Ramaphosa also pointed out, and this is why they had chosen to go ahead with plans to have the service for him today, even though he was buried almost a month ago now in a private service, and his wife and his son giving us a glimpse into the man behind the closed doors, the man who grappled, they say, with doing the right thing, and struggling between what his wife said was often his intellect and his emotion in wanting to do the right thing, but also feeling at times that he had betrayed his forefathers and that he was going against his political party and the convictions of the people in that party that he had chosen to lead. And so today, those who paid tribute to him saying that he had to be commemorated for having overcome those fears and for being brave enough to do what he did to bring about a regime change. And although we wouldn't know what would have happened had that not taken place, they said they couldn't discount the fact that he had changed the course of South Africa's history, however other people might feel about the kind of government that he presided over during the apartheid years, Mfundo.
Did you get an opportunity to engage any of the protesters by any chance?
That was, my colleague was out elsewhere on the street, so I did not engage with them directly. I was in the Cryil Kerk where the service was taking place. I did happen to see just a handful of protesters across the road. The security cordon was quite tight right around that church, the Adderley Street, the roads leading up to Parliament, all fenced off. So protesters struggled to get very close to proceedings, and those who did, as I said, were summarily dismissed. So I didn't have an opportunity to speak one-on-one with them, but certainly Aisha Ismail, who did speak to them, really them wanting to express the fact that so much of what they had hoped FW de Klerk would have shared with them during his lifetime now going to the grave with him, and that they are still left with a lot of hurt, with a lot of unanswered questions, and not knowing what happened to their family members who were victims of apartheid atrocities.
Perhaps to take you back, Lindsay, to why the President felt it important to actually have this memorial. Just take us through what he stated were the reasons that this was important.
So besides the fact that as a former head of state, and he is entitled to, FW de Klerk was entitled to an official funeral, it was the choice of his family that he rather be buried in a private service. But the President saying today that his role in dismantling apartheid could not be discounted, and if South Africa was going to move forward, there had to be some level of forgiveness and some level of acknowledgement of the role that FW de Klerk played in instituting and bringing about a new constitution on which South Africa's values are built and in which South Africa has moved forward. And so it was important, the President said, to acknowledge the past, to acknowledge his role, but by no means discounting the hurt that was caused by the regime that FW de Klerk presided over, that he led, but that he had to be acknowledged also his role in South Africa's history for what he attempted to do in trying to bring an end to that regime. Here's what the President had to say, Mfundo.
Many wondered, why do we want to have a memorial at the state level for FW de Klerk? And we said we will have it because he is one person who played an important role in the evolution of our new democracy, whether we like it or not. FW de Klerk was born of the African soil because he was born here. And it is the African soil, to the African soil, that he has now returned. And it is here, within the warm embrace of this African soil, that he shall forever remain. I'd like to call upon all of us, whether we agreed with him or not, to now release him so that he can be at peace.
All right, Lindsay, thank you very much for that. That's the NCA reporter, Lindsay Dentlinger.